What if Naruto was loved by Kurenai, Anko, Yugao, Uzuki, Hana, Fame Kyuubi, Fame Shukaku, Fame Nibi, Samui, Yugito and Mei Terumi? Part 1. Location. A village surrounded by miles of forests in any direction. This village is called the village hidden in the leaves. It was considered to the strongest over the other 4 major villages through their prowess in strength in military and politics through the production of strong shinobi. This included the Professor, Copy Ninja Kakashi, the Sannin, the Inoshika Chotrio, and most of all, the Yellow Flash. The Yellow Flash, also known as Minato Namikaze, was remembered by all through the Third Shinobi War when he defeated several squads of Iwa and even more so when he defeated the Demon Lord of the Ninth Circle, the Kyuubi no Katsune. It has been 8 years have passed since that battle and since then, the village has thrived. Many of the citizens currently celebrate as the day marked the death of the Kyuubi, but they also mourned the death of the 4th Hokage for his sacrifice. It was also 8 years since the reinstated Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, passed the S-rank law that punished those that told others about the Kyuubi being sealed into a boy, the son of the late 4th Hokage, named Naruto. It was his belief that this law would prevent those in the council from passing the information to others, but all it did was harden the task. They were successful in spreading the information to the citizens, and this transformed into a strong hate aimed towards the newborn Jinchuriki. It all started when he was kicked out of the orphanage at the age of 3 and had to suffer the assault from a massive mob of citizens. They chased him and attacked him when they finally caught him. It would have continued until the 3rd Hokage came and saved him before he had his Umbo execute the attackers. Then, he gave the boy an apartment to live in, and it resided in between the merchants and shinobi area of the village. Along with the apartment, the Hokage gave him a weekly allowance to purchase from stores. Whenever he went anywhere, everyone would send glares at him. The stores he went to held a strong hatred towards him and either overpriced their goods, refused to give him any service, or threw him out into the streets. This continued until it reached October 10th. During this day, many of the civilians and shinobi would get drunk because of the celebrations before creating a mob. This mob would try to find the boy and attack him. Because of the frequency of these events, it finally became a form of entertainment that many called fox hunt. The mobs that formed were mostly civilians, but sometimes shinobi would join in. No matter how long it took, they would always catch the boy and beat him within an inch of death before being rescued by his protectors. His protectors would kill some people of the mob before they dispersed. They would then get him to a hospital and get him treated before staying with him to make sure he was safe. This dark night of October was no different than the rest as shouts of, "Kill the demon!" and "Let's finish what the 4th started!" filled the alleyways of the village. A young boy with a mop of blonde hair ran through the alleyways and streets as he tried to escape. Behind him, a large mob that contained shinobi and civilians alike followed him. Their expressions held one of glee and malicious intent as they followed their prey. Whenever they spotted him, they started to throw anything they could to slow him down or even stop him. These projectiles included glass bottles, knives, and shurikens. They flew at high speeds and smashed into random walls or buildings as the blonde waved his way through the incoming attacks. It wasn't long before a stray kunai impales itself into the running blonde and caused him to fall onto the ground. This allowed his pursuers to gain ground, and it wasn't long before they were a few meters away from the boy. He tried to scramble away, but several more projectiles hit his back and caused him to fall back down in pain. Naruto just curled into a ball as he accepted his fate. "Look here, boys, the demon is trying to huddle up to keep itself from being killed. We can't have that now, can we?" said a crazy-looking man. "It's time for you to pay your dues. You've lived in our village for the past 7 years and take our food along with the madness you ensure with your so-called pranks. You killed my wife. My family died all because of you. You destroyed my clan's house. This is for my sister. He even controls the Hokage himself. He lets him roam our village and cause mayhem. I say it's time for him to end. It's time to finish what the 4th started and kill this beast to protect Konoha from his terror." "Kill him, yeah!" cried the members of the mob as they rushed in to beat the helpless child, pushing him to the brink of death. They started to pull out several items like long wooden sticks and sharpened blades before they used them against the boy. The pieces of wood made impact against his body and left large black bruises everywhere. It wasn't long before the crowd heard a crack along with a cry. They knew that a bone was broken, and instead of stopping, they just continued with more ferocity. The kunais and knives were stabbed into his skin and were slowly dragged in random directions. They formed long cuts that allowed a large amount of blood to pour out. It wasn't long before the boy started to lose consciousness from the massive loss of blood. He didn't see the two large pieces of wood that his aggressors brought with them or feel the pain as they stabbed a kunai through his hands and feet. It felt like hours of torture for the blonde boy until he finally fell to the darkness of unconsciousness. When the mob saw him lose his consciousness, they continued to abuse his body before they stepped back to examine their work. Their victim was stabbed to a wooden cross while streams of blood continued to pour out of the cuts. The cuts and bruises littered his whole body. They knew that no one would be able to identify the boy because of the large amounts of damage done. It's time to end this. You will now die. Yeah, burn his body. Say goodbye, demon. A fire release. Great fireball. A large orange ball of fire launched from the mouth of the ninja before it flew towards the deformed body of the blonde. All around the ninja, the large mob of people cheered loudly as they were about to witness the death of the demon. Naruto, on the other hand, knew what was about to happen and accepted the fate of death as he felt the intensity of the heat increase. However, fate smiled upon him. Water release. Water fang bullet. Out of nowhere, a large bullet of water slammed into the speeding ball of fire before it extinguished the flames from the plane of existence. However, the impact of water and fire created a shroud of mist that covered the area. The people of the mob could only narrow their eyes as they tried to make out anything within the field. It wasn't long before the veil of mist disappeared and revealed 5 beings that proudly stood in between them and the blonde boy. Upon further examination of the group of individuals, they quickly saw that 4 of them wore full black pants and full black shirts with light grey chest armor. Their faces shifted to one of terror when they saw that the faces of these people were covered with an animal mask. They were Ambu. The 5th person was different from the other 4 and stood in between them. The individual was an old man who wore white robes along with a triangular hat. The most prominent detail of the hat was the kanji for fire. This was Hiruzen Sarutobi, the 3rd Hokage, and he was not pleased. "What the hell do you people think you are doing?" he asked sharply while his killing intent rolled off him in massive amounts. "Hokage-sama," one of the Ambu called. "Why, you might want to see Thissa." The Hokage turned and paled at the sight in front of him. He saw the blonde hair and automatically knew who it was. Around him, the 4 shinobi grasped their blades as they slowly leaked out killing intent. The old man quickly turned back around to face the crowd of people with a glare etched on his face. We were just finishing what the F4th started Hokage-sama, a frightened shinobi said from amidst the mass of people before they felt another wave of ki. "What you're doing is hurt an innocent child," roared the Hokage as he added more ki with each word. "He is not innocent," a random citizen cried out. "He is a demon. He controls you and make you see him as a child." Silence reigned for a few moments before the citizen let fear overcome his senses. He tried to turn and run away, but it was too late for him. He slammed into something and fell down to the ground. His eyes dilated as he saw what stopped him. In front of him was one of the Ambu that stood by the Hokage. "You broke an S-rank law," the shinobi whispered before he drew his blade. "You will now accept the punishment of death." As soon as the word, "death," was said, the ninja stabbed the blade into the man's heart before being pulled out. No one else moved or spoke a word. "Ambu," Sarutobi yelled as more of the masked shinobi appeared out of nowhere. "Take them into custody. All shinobi are now dishonorably discharged from your services. Take them all to Ibiki and tell him not to hold back." "Herr Hokage-sama," responded the masked shinobi before they surrounded the people and led them down the alleyway to another portion of the village. "Cat, dog, snake, and bear, you're with me. We're taking Naruto to the hospital." The 4 Ambu nodded before they moved towards the blonde. Carefully, the kunais from his hands and feet before placing bandages at the holes to try to prevent more blood loss. Then, cat and dog took the boy before they quickly moved towards the nearest hospital. "Konoha Hospital," It would be a matter of minutes before the group made it to the hospital. The blonde boy was then taken to a special room for him. The head doctor made it when they found out that several of the staff flat out refused to care for the boy because he was a demon. Those doctors and nurses were promptly fired several minutes later. Only those loyal to the Hokage and held no hatred towards him were allowed to apply in the hospital. Two of the doctors that treated him were Megumi and Miho Megumi. They knew Naruto was the son of Minato and Kushina through the friendship the four had. A group of doctors stopped working before dispersing while one of them headed towards a worried old man. Sarutobi-sama, it seems he is fine thanks to the Kyuubi. It healed most of the wounds, but I know nothing of the boy's mental state. I would probably hypothesize it's on the verge of breaking down, Miho stated. Damn those deranged villagers, cursed Hiruzen, but right now, he was too worried of Naruto's welfare to care about the villagers right now. Dog and the other three Ambu could only tighten their fists in anger and grief for the blonde boy. It's best to let him rest for now and wait for the result in the morning, said Akiko in a sad tone. Thank you both for doing all that you can for him, the third said before he bowed towards them in respect. It's our duty as medics to heal and treat all who enter this hospital. There is no need to be so thankful, Sarutobi-sama, when we are doing what we had to do. We swore that when we took the Hippocratic oath, Miho said with a small smile before he and Akiko bowed and exited the room. Kami-sama, please help Naruto, prayed the third Hokage with closed eyes as he walked towards the exit of the room. I can only do so much when faced with these unbearable odds. Help me to protect him. I'm sorry we couldn't protect you, Dog whispered softly as he looked at the blonde boy wrapped in the gauze, bandages, and tape. I promised to protect you and I will. Don't worry about it, Dog, Cat whispered to him. You did what you could. Your sensei knows that you always tried to be with him and protect him. Thanks, Cat. With that, the two Ambu exit the room followed by their colleagues. The third Hokage looked back at the boy before he exited the room. They didn't know of what would happen when the blonde woke up. He would be a new person in everything but personality. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto felt himself regaining consciousness, and much to his surprise, he also felt something cool and wet on his back. His eyes soon opened to reveal a dark corridor while the walkway was covered in water. The only sound that can be heard were water drops that made impact to the body of water on the ground. It reminded him of a sewer. What happened, Ada? He questioned himself before he got up. Where am I? It looks like a severa. He started to walk in a random direction with no ideas of how to get out until he heard a sound. It was soft but was similar to a growl of an animal. Curiosity overpowered him as he started to move towards the origin of the noise before he heard it again, but only louder. This continued on until he found a passageway. At the back of the passageway was a massive prison door with a slip of paper stuck to the middle as if it was the lock to the gate. Unknown to him, the paper had the kanji for seal on it. He approached the gate slowly as the growl continued to grow louder and louder. Suddenly, two large and ferocious eyes opened from within the gates while a deep voice resonated all around. Who dares to enter my domain? En Naruto Yu Uzumakiya. Ah! My beloved jailer has decided to visit his prisoner. Do you know who I am, child? En Noah. So the warden doesn't even know the name of his prisoner. However inconvenient. So who are you? Who am I? Who am I? Growled the voice. I am the destroyer of mountains and creator of tsunamis. I am the gatekeeper of Makai and the defender of the keep. I am the demon lord of the ninth circle. I am Kyuubi. Hear my roar and tremble at my power, mortal. The water shook with every word the demon spoke before it blew away at his roar. Naruto just shook in fear as he looked at the pair of red eyes. It took him a few minutes before he was able to speak again. I have been hurt many times and they keep on calling me a demona. I hear the whispers behind my back as people talk about me as the demona. Am I a human or a demon? Did I kill those people like they say or not? Who am I? He asked aloud as his tears started to fall from his eyes before he looked at the demon lord. Am I a demon like they said? No, you are no demon, growled the fox. I am a demon and you are a human. Then why do they beat me? He cried. Why do they constantly call me demon as they hurt me? One being I once knew said that humanity's stupidity is beyond infinite. They do not try and hurt you but rather try and hurt me. What those worthless humans believe is that you are me and I am you. They believe that you are me but in the form of a human. Wait, are you saying that you are in me? Yes, but that does not make you a demon. Then what does that make me? I hold you inside my body. The blonde cried. I am a demon. Silence yourself, child. Growled the QB. Just because you contain me does not make you a demon. No, that makes you a Jinchuriki. What? Jinchuriki is a human prison for an entity. You are one as are a few others but that does not make you a demon. I guess why you're right. Those villagers are the demons. They hurt a child who has no control over events. My kind treat their young with care, no matter the circumstances they are the worst kind of human and I hope to see them in Makai after their deaths. What happens now? First of all, stop stuttering like an idiot. I will do nothing to you as long as you comply with my requests. What are they? You are weak and that reflects on my strength. I will not be weak. You will become strong and then we will see what will happen from there. I don't understand. You are my container and thus represent me in a certain sense. By being weak, it shows that I am weak. You will become strong with my help. How? If you would stop talking then I would be able to explain, snarled the demon and earned a fearful look from the blonde. Because I am a tailed demon, I am able to control the elements and that allows me to call upon certain spirits that can assist you. Why do you want me to be strong? Meet my requirements and only then will I tell you my story. I guess I have no choice then. No, you always have a choice. No one is ever forced to make a decision but rather they decided to make the decision. I guess I'll accept your offer. Very well then. You need to rip a small part of the seal off the cage so I can do what is needed to be done. You will gain the ability to harness the elements with the help of the spirits. Along with that, you will gain increased senses, stamina, reflexes, and chakra. I also get some things as well through this agreement. Like what? I can hear what you hear, see what you see, taste what you taste, all the jazz. I guess a thank you and no one has done so much for me other than the old man and a few others. We will talk again soon but you need to rip part of the seal so I can begin. With that said, the large red eyes soon disappear from the boy's view. Naruto moved towards the seal before he pulled on it a little bit. It wasn't long before he felt something warm start to surround him. Instantly, wave after wave of power rushed out from the cage and slammed into him. All around him, the corridor started to shift into a circular room with the QB's cage. 5 pillars surrounded him and it wasn't long before the blonde's curiosity got the better of him. He lightly grazed the stone tower with his finger before it suddenly started to crack. The pillar he touched started to rupture while the other 4 started to fracture. Soon, light started to erupt from the broken pillars and caused the young child to shield his eyes. It wasn't long before the light diminished and revealed 5 figures. He didn't know it at the time, but these 5 were going to become his teachers. Intrigued, Naruto took the time to examine them as soon as he uncovered his eyes. First was Aries, the spirit of the wind. She stood proudly at 5 feet 10 inches with dirty blonde hair. Her body was covered with a pearl-white kimono that hugged her womanly figure while only showing moderate amounts of cleavage. She had a heart-shaped face while her blonde hair reached down to her back. In Naruto's opinion, the most interesting feature of the woman was her emerald green eyes. They were unique and held warmth and kindness when they looked at him. Next was Velina, the spirit of water. She was shorter than Aries, as she was 5 feet 8, and wore a deep blue kimono. Her hair reached her upper back while they were fanned out in contrast to Aries' ponytail. Her face was almost the same heart shape as the wind spirit but with sky blue eyes that held serenity. What caught the blonde's interests was the woman's blue hair because it felt like it matched the color of his eyes. Then there was Odin, the spirit of lightning. The child was a little scared when he first examined him as the fact that he looked like a demon of some sorts with 2 curved horns attached to his head. He was covered with a black armor trimmed with a golden yellow while his skin was like bronze. On his left forearm was something that looked like a shield while his amethyst-colored eyes evoked fear as they looked into the child's light blue ones. Afterwards was Bahamut, the spirit of fire. Practically, He looked like a dragon-human hybrid with a pair of wings on his back. His skin was a dull grey while he wore a helmet the shape of a dragon's head. His armor was akin to a dark paladin but only with wings. Think Sigrid's armor from the Soul Calibur series but only black and grey in color. His eyes were slits with golden background and gave the hybrid look feral. Finally, there was Exodus, the spirit of earth. He looked like a large stone golem. Enough said. While Naruto examined the 5 spirits, they also looked at him before they spotted the fear etched on his face. Velina quickly sensed his fear before she stepped forward and wrapped the boy with her aura. It acted as a blanket and the boy almost immediately calmed down. She saw this before she moved towards him and lowered herself to look him in the eyes. "Hello young one, my name is Velina and these are my friends. That's Ares, Bahamut, Odin, and Exodus," she said softly before she looked behind him. It is an honor to see you again, Lord Kyuubi." "I see that you are well, Velina," grumbled the beast. Odin, Bahamut, Ares, Exodus." Quote, when the Kyuubi called out their names, they responded with a nod except for Ares and Velina, who bowed. "If I may ask, Lord Kyuubi, why have you called the 5 of us here?" asked Odin. "I summoned the 5 of you here because I have been sealed once again. The kid is weak and thus currently gives me the image of a weakling. You are to train him in your respected arts. We will talk again soon but I must rest. Summoning here took much out of me." "By your will, Lord Kyuubi," responded the 5 elementals before they turned to face the young blonde boy. "Hello young one, Lord Kyuubi has told you the requirements to begin our training, correct?" said Bahamut, only to receive a confused look from Naruto. Very well. In order for us to accept you into our training, you must pass our tests. Odin will test your strength. Exodus will look at your resolve. Ares will examine your control. Velina will assess your patience. I will question your heart. Are you ready to face us?" Naruto responded with a nod of his and Bahamut turned his head to face the other 4 elementals before he gave them a nod. The giant stone golem lumbered forward and faced the boy. "I am Exodus, spirit of the earth, and I will give you the trial of the mind," he stated. Why do you wish to become a shinobi? What purpose will our training do to your future? Do you wish to feel the victory through the death of your opponents or to bask in the glory of your accomplishments? Do you seek the thrill of a fight against your foes or form a name in which all will fear? Why is it your dream to become strong?" The blonde started to think deeply about the golem's question. "I wanted to become a shinobi because I eventually wanted to become the Hokage so people would respect me," he thought. But why do I want to become strong? Is there any reason?" Flashback. Naruto sat on a stool with a bowl of steaming hot ramen in front of him. He was at his favorite place, Ichiraku Ramen, and started to dig into his meal before he heard a chuckle behind him. It wasn't long before the boy turned and found the 3rd Hokage right beside him with a bowl in front of him. "So, how was the ramen?" Sarutobi asked him with a smile plastered on his face. "It was good, like normal," responded Naruto. "Thanks for taking me out today, old man." "No problem. I don't like being stuck in the office all day doing work and it's pleasant to actually walk around the village once in a while." "Don't you worry, old man. Soon I will be the one who will take that hat from you." "Of course you will, Naruto," he chuckled before he faced the young boy. "Naruto, do you know why you want to be Hokage?" "Yeah, so that everyone would notice and respect me." "Of course," chuckled the 3rd before he started to eat his bowl of ramen. "But did you know is more to being a Kage than respect?" "Really? What is it then, old man?" "In Konoha, shinobi of all genders and rank are what they are today because they want to do one thing. They want to protect those they care about from harm. Whenever they fight with the desire to protect, and thus allowing them to wield a strength that those with the desire to destroy or kill do not have. So being a Kage isn't about respect. Respect comes with the position, my boy, but respect is earned and not freely given. If you want to the Hokage, what will you fight for?" End of flashback. Gigi said that strength comes from the desire to protect those they care about, thought the blonde before he looked the golem in front of him. Then that's why I want to become a shinobi. I want to protect. You have an answer? Exodus asked before he received a nod. "I want to become a shinobi because I want to be able to protect my family, friends, and my loved ones from harm. I will protect Konoha, so you will still protect them even after the suffering they have caused you. Why? The village is like one big family. There is always going to be arguments and disagreements between people, but in the end, they are still family. You chose wisely. Most would say power or fame that comes with the name, but you did not. You remembered the reason why some of people became shinobi. With your resolve, you will grow strong to do your best to protect and to never give in when the tide goes against you. I, Exodus, give Naruto Uzumaki the blessing of the earth. May it assist his resolve to defend those he loves. Thank you, said the young Uzumaki before he remembered his manners and gave a small bow towards the stone giant, who was replaced with Ares. I'm next. I am Ares, the spirit of the wind, and I will test your control, she said. For me to do so, I must make you relive parts of your memory. I understand that you suffered greatly and I am sorry that I must do this. With that said, she touched Naruto's forehead with her finger and resulted in the blonde's eyes to slowly drift close. All he heard were whispers before his eyes opened once again. Everything around him was gone and replaced with a crowd of people. The whispers soon became clear as they reached his ears and brought forth memories of his past. Theria Eater Isa, I can't believe Eater is here. Demon, you killed my family, murdered my wife, lost my children, abandoned by the parents. Let's kill the demon. Time to rid this village of your foul presence. Children, don't go near him. He is a very bad child. Soon, the white-colored sky starts to darken into night while people started to appear with blunt objects before they moved towards him. The beating started as the several objects made impact with his skin, leaving large bruises or large cuts that leaked blood. The beating continued and blood maintained its tempo as it flowed from his wounds. Naruto felt turmoil, but he knew that it wouldn't matter what he did, they would just keep on going. He closed his eyes and waited for more to come, but it never did. Instead, he felt something touch his body. His eyes opened to see the long dirty blonde hair of Ares. Her tears rolled down her face as she continued to hug the boy close to her. The warmth engulfed Naruto and he felt something he has never felt before. His short arms wrapped around the waist of the woman as he laid his head on her chest. The feeling left him vulnerable, but this feeling he longed for. Ares laid her head on top the blonde's head as she continued to hold him. No words were spoken for several minutes as the feeling of despair quickly evolved into one of comfort and longing. Slowly, the two blondes let go of each other as they wiped away their tears. Thank you, whispered Naruto. I've never felt that way before. It felt different, yet it feels like something I've been longing for. It was nothing, Naruto, Ares said as she looked at the boy with a smile on her face. I will be here for you. You won't have to be alone anymore like before. Your memories brought me to tears and your emotions were in turmoil, but you controlled them. Emotions are important for all living life along with control. An example is that of anger. When anger is not controlled, it will cause mayhem in its wake. You were able to suppress your emotions to a certain extent. I, Ares, give Naruto Uzumaki the blessing of air. May it help you in your path towards the future. I believe I will give you the next test. I am Bahamut, the spirit of fire, and I will test your strength, Bahamut says as he moves closer to the boy. What is it that you believe? Is there good or evil? Right against wrong. Flashback. Hey old man, Naruto said as he walked into the Hokage's office to find the third Hokage sitting on his chair. Thanks for teaching me how to read. It's helped me with the book I got. It's no problem, my boy, Sarutobi replied with a small chuckle. So tell me, what was the book about? I forgot about it. Well, it's about a good guy that beats up a bad guy and then brings peace to the land. Interesting. Remember that talk we had a few weeks ago? Yeah, what about it? Here's another thing for you to think about. Is there good and evil in this world? Of course there is, old man. Everyone knows that there is good and evil. True, but what happens when you have to commit a deed of evil for the events to bring good? I don't know. Naruto, in the world of shinobi, we must learn to kill others. But why must shinobi kill? It's murder. True, but the act is necessary as killing your opponent may be your only hope of you and those you protect to survive. You were right when you said that there is good and evil in this world. Greed, lust, thirst for blood, and many others are prime example of that. However, there is a point where the decision between good and evil is simple like black and white. A shinobi killing is an example of that. How? Sometimes, we as shinobi must kill to protect those who are innocent. We feel sadness, guilt, and remorse for doing so, but we find it necessary to protect those whom we love from harm. There comes a point when killing is a bad thing. When you start to enjoy the feeling of blood on your hands, the blood of innocents and many others, then it is an act of evil. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think so. You are saying that while there is good and evil, there are some instances where an act of evil is for good. It's all about intent. Yes, remember these little things, Naruto, and you will become a great shinobi one day. Follow what I have told you, and someday, you'll be the one with his hat. End of flashback. There is good and evil in this world, Naruto replied. Some acts are evil while others are good. However, sometimes an evil act is necessary for good. It is about the intent of the act. Is that what your heart says? Is that what you believe? A Bahamut questioned before receiving a nod. In existence, there has always been good and evil. You truly believe that the existence good and evil is black and white, but there is also shades of grey. The act committed is always about intent. Make wise decisions and listen to your heart, for your future is all about it. Bahamut, give Naruto Uzumaki the blessing of fire. May it guide him to his future, wherever it may take him. I believe that it is my test next, Bahamut. I am Velina, spirit of water, Velina said as she moved forward. For my test, you must catch this bunny and bring him back to me. With that said, the bunny appeared several meters away before it ran down a new corridor. Naruto burst out in a sprint to catch the animal that now currently roams his mind. Every few meters of running, he would find himself at an intersection with the corridors going to different directions, and he would choose one of the pathways to go down. After the 11th intersection, he stopped. Where is that thing? He asked himself before he decided to wait and examine his location for clues. Suddenly, he heard a splashing all around him, and it soon started to get louder, as if the source was getting closer to him. It wasn't long before he saw a ball of white at the end of the hallway, and it wasn't long for him to recognize the bunny in all its glory. It ran towards him before it suddenly stopped a few feet away from him. Naruto just stood there with a confused look before he shrugged and held out his hands. The bunny tilted its head in confusion before it stared into the eyes of the blonde boy. Silence soon reigned as the two beings stared into each other's eyes. After several minutes, the bunny suddenly moved forwards before it jumped into the hands of the blonde boy. The boy was surprised at the action but decided against doing anything rash. Instead, he started to pet the animal as he walked towards his starting location. It took him several minutes to find the chambers, and once he entered, the spirits all looked at him. "Here you go," he said as he handed the white animal to Velina. "One bunny is requested." "An hour and 19 minutes, Velina stated to him. That was faster than the others I have tested. Most of them fail to catch my bunny, but those that do take around 2 to 3 hours. I assumed to figured out a way to trap him quickly. Actually, he ran towards me and I just waited before he jumped into my hands. What you didn't know was that this was a test of patience," Velina informed him. Having the patience to wait will bring results that no one would be able to predict. With patience, one will be able to think clearly and come up with a better solution. Velina, give Naruto Uzumaki the blessing of water. May it protect him from rashness and impatience. Now comes the true test, Oden said as he moved forward with a smirk that made the blonde shiver. You will fight me. Give me your best, boy. Bring it on, Naruto said as he assumed a fighting stance. With pleasure. With that said, Oden charged towards Naruto at blinding speeds before he punched into his gut. It launched him back several feet. As the blonde attempted to get up, the spirit appeared and slammed him back into the ground before he kicked him. The boy slams into the ground and created a small trench. He slowly rose from the ground before he wiped away the blood on his face. "Ugha," he groaned before he stood up. "Is that all you got? You wish, brat." An elbow slammed into the young Uzumaki's face and caused him to fly into the arm before Oden's other arm slammed him into the ground. The child's body hits the ground. Don't tell me you are giving up so easily. You are a weakling and this is a waste of time, growled Odin as he started to walk away. You are weak and you will fail to protect what you find precious. They will be dead and you will not be able to do anything about it. Behind him, the boy struggled to get up while blood continued to leak from his mouth. It took him a few moments to stand up, but his head was angled so that his hair covered his eyes from view. Odin turned at that moment and saw him standing. So you can still stand. What is your next move? I would personally suggest that you give up, taunted Odin. Just run away and go back to your hole. Run like the coward you are. What did you just call me? A coward. Suddenly, a wave of energy engulfed the boy as he charged the lightning spirit with a raised fist. Odin quickly blocked the punch before he dodged another. The blonde boy continued to throw punch after punch, never stopping until Odin disappeared from his view. Suddenly, he felt himself flying through the air before making impact with the ground. He knew that he had no energy left before he tried to push himself up. Stop it, Naruto, this test has come to its end, Odin said as he walked towards the blonde boy. Naruto just ignored the statement as he struggled to push himself up and continued to fall back down. He knew that he failed, he wasn't strong enough. The tears soon started to fall from his eyes. Why am I so weak? I'm worthless and weak, Naruto mumbled as he lets the tears fall. I can't protect my precious people. I'm so weak, so worthless. Odin did not move, but Ares and Velina rushed towards him before they kneeled beside his body. They helped him to a sitting position before engulfing him in a hug. They spoke words of comfort to him as the sounds of his sniffles echoed throughout the area. It took the two female spirits a few minutes before the boy was finally able to look at Odin. The lightning spirit looked down at the blonde as his hardened eyes softened. Naruto, you have passed my test, he said, resulting in much surprise to the young Uzumaki. You have proven your strength to me in many ways. You fought me head on. That was courageous but stupid move. And every time I put you down, you always found a way to get back up. I wasn't able to get up, Naruto interrupted as his eyes started to leak tears. I wasn't strong enough. Don't be discouraged, Odin said. Your strength will come over time. You found strength when I mentioned your resolve, and when time comes, that will be your focus. It will be what makes you shinobi. Odin, give Naruto Uzumaki the blessing of lightning. May it give him the strength to protect his precious people and hold his resolve true. Suddenly, the 5 elemental spirits glowed with bright colors before it started to grow even brighter. Naruto covered his eyes to prevent himself from being blinded by the light. Unknown to him, the light moved towards the blonde boy before it entered his body. It only lasted a few more minutes before the light finally died down. As Naruto blinked his eyes, he found his vision slowly returning. It is done, said Bahamut. What's done? Asked the young Uzumaki. We have given you the energy to begin our training, answered Velina. Around this chamber, there are 5 kanji representing our respected elements, added Odin as she motioned towards the glowing symbols to the boy. It is dull and dim to represent the control you have over our elements, mediocre at best. But as you proceed in our training, it will start to glow brighter until you finish. What happens then? That is for you to find out, Ares said before she saw Naruto's pout. Train hard, young one, rumbled Exodus. And you will grow strong to protect. You will become the shield for your loved ones. Makes us proud, Ares said as she moved to give the boy a hug. We will help guide you down the right path, but you must be able to make decisions on your own. We will always be here for you, Velina said as she hugged the young Uzumaki after Ares. We will always be here for you, don't forget that. Thank you for everything, Naruto said with a smile. It's no problem, answered Bahamut before he sensed something. I sense someone near your body outside, an old man I believe. That's Gigi, he must be so worried, the young Uzumaki said before he started to look around frantically. Do you know how I can get out of here? This is your mind. I guess just will yourself to wake up. I'll try that. I guess I'll see you next time. We'll be here for you, so don't you worry. With that said, the blonde faded from the mindscape, leaving the 5 spirits. He will become strong, there is no doubt about it, said Odin. I agree, rumbled Exodus. He is a diamond in the rough, but with enough time, he can be refined to become something truly magnificent. Is that why you summoned us here, Lord QB? Asked Velina, only to get no response. We will ask later on. It must have taken a large amount of energy to call us here, said Bahamut. Let us retire and plan a schedule for his training. The 5 spectral beings walked out of the circular chambers. They didn't see the pair of slitted eyes that watched everything had occurred. If only you all knew. Reality. It had been several days since Naruto had been admitted to the hospital for injuries that he had received from the severe beatings that almost left him mutilated and maimed. The third Hokage sat right beside the boy that laid on the bed. He visited regularly with hope to see the boy awaken once more, but this day was different from the rest. It began several minutes ago as the boy started to sweat and pant before a bright light encompassed his body. It only lasted a few minutes before being absorbed into his body. The old man started to think about what had just occurred before he heard a soft yawn. His eyes averted to the origin of the sound and found himself to be looking at the sitting boy with outstretched arms. Naruto smacked his lips as if he had woken from a deep slumber. Hello Naruto, greeted the third Hokage. Gigi, Naruto cried as he gave the cage a hug. I'm glad to see you are well. I've been worried about you. Thank you Gigi, thank you for saving Ma. It's no problem. Amma can ask you a serious question. Sure, I'll answer it the best I can. What really happened to the QB that night? What brought this question forth? Asked a surprised Hokage before he looked at the boy. The fourth killed it during that night. Why do you ask? I met something when I was asleep, answered Naruto. Unknown to the boy, the elder Sarutobi's eyes narrowed with suspicion. It said its name was QB and that we were inside me. It was a dream Naruto-kun. Nothing more. Please Gigi, please don't lie to me anymore. Very well, the Hokage said with a sigh before he turned around. Leave us. 3 ANBUs emerged from the shadow before bowing and exiting the room. The third pulled a piece of paper with several kanji on it and slammed it on the wall. It caused a layer of blue to cover the whole room. Now what has the QB told you? Asked the old man nervously. It's a long story Gigi and I'm not sure you are going to believe me when I tell you. Try me. Where should I start? The third asked himself while deep in thought. Beginning would be a great place to start, but before I begin, please understand why I had to refrain from telling you about this earlier. You are young and alone. I wouldn't know you would react. Naruto just remained silent. I would spend many of my nights in the office thinking of how to tell you about your burden when you were older without your reacting negatively about it. But it seems that it doesn't matter anymore. I always knew that there was something different about me, whispered the blonde. The constant glares and the hateful things they do to me. I never knew why they hated me so much, but they knew what I held within me. I would always question what I did to deserve the beatings. They always treated me like this since I can remember. You were there to help me, Gigi. You tried to help me as much as you can along with Doggy-san and Kitty-sana. You weren't supposed to be treated like this. The fourth Hokage wanted you to be treated like a hero, said the elder Sarutobi. But the civilians wanted you to be killed for what you held. Somehow, I knew what they were going to do and that resulted in me passing a law. What law Gigi? It's an S-rank law that I made. It was to prevent the council of passing on the information they learned to the citizens of the village. The punishment was death, but somehow, the people learned of my burden. Yes, it wasn't until after a week of constant attacks that I found out what had happened. So I extended the law I created to them. It was to prevent anyone in the future generations from learning of your burden without my or your consent. They always found a way to influence the future generations' thoughts about you, and they eventually learn to hate you. The civilian council always find a way to make your life miserable, and there is nothing the shinobi council or I can do about it because of your civilian status. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Thank you Gigi. No Naruto, I deserve no thanks from you. You do. You tried to help me as you can. You're there when I need you. I should apologize to you, Naruto. I should have taken better care of you. I should have done many things that could have made your life better. The civilian council and the elders have become more influential, Hiruzen said with venom and hate. They took advantage of lame duck period in between the death of the fourth and my inauguration to pass more laws that made them more powerful. I know that you will eventually find something, Jiji, Naruto said with a small smile. You always do. Thank you, my boy, responded the Sarutobi with a smile. Enough of this, let's talk about your furry friend. I'm very curious of the conversation that occurred between the two of you. Well, I met the Kyuubi while I was out, explained Naruto. It sees me as a jailer and a representative of some sort, sir. How are you a representative? It was something about me being weak reflects on a weak demon lord. So that led to the deal. Very well, I'm curious of this deal. I had to rip part of the seal off. What? Why would you do that? Well, Kyuubi said that it was to allow it to change my body and make it stronger. What are these changes? And what does the Kyuubi get out of all of this? For Ball said something about his senses being linked to mine. I get better senses, stamina, reflex, and larger chakra pools. Also, I can use the elements. The elements? You mean elemental chakra manipulations, right? Oha, I guess. I mean all they told me I would be able to control the elements, Naruto said with a thinking face. I think they said earth, lightning, fire, air, and water. They are going to be my teachers, said an excited boy. They said they will help me become strong. Who are these people who told you this? They're my new friends, Jiji. They were Aries-san, Bahamut-san, Odin-san, Exodus-san, and Velina-san. Very unusual names for anyone around here. Do you know where they are from? Questioned the Hokage. I don't know much, Jiji, answered the blonde. Kyuubi summoned them, Suya. Very well. Is there anything else you wanted to tell me, Naruto? Asked the old man to the listening boy before receiving a negative. Well, it appears that the Kyuubi might be telling the truth, but will you let me look at the seal? I just want to make sure that nothing will go wrong. I guess so, Jiji, answered the boy. But where is the seal and how would I show it to you? Well, the seal is on your stomach, and to answer your second question, let me handle that part. I do need you to lift your shirt up. Okay, Tina. Naruto grabbed the bottom of his shirt before pulling up. It exposed his bandaged body and caused a wave of pain to shoot up his nervous system. With his navel now exposed, the third Hokage leaned down and placed his hand on it. He channeled chakra into his hand and it then traveled to the boy's body, revealing an intricate seal. Black lines trailed around the boy's navel in the form of curves, spirals, lines, and kanji. Nothing seems to be out of place with the seal, thought the old man. He seems to have a large amount of chakra for a child his age. I'm not sure if it's because of his heritage or because of the Kyuubi, but I know that he will have a great future ahead of him. It seems that there is nothing wrong with the seal, said the Hokage. Nothing has changed even though you removed a portion of it. Though, if anything does change on the seal, come to me immediately. I will, Jiji, replied the Uzumaki. Oha, what is it, Naruto? I want to become stronger. I want to become a shinobi just like you and be able to protect my precious people. Can you help me become strong? I don't know, Naruto. I do want to help you in any way I can, but that would result in more problems for the both of us. Jiji, you told a long time ago that each shinobi had a purpose for serving. You said that it was the reason why constantly pushed themselves to become stronger. They would gladly sacrifice themselves in order to allow their purpose to continue. I know what my purpose is. I will become strong and be the shield that protects the innocent and those I care about, the boy said with conviction. Please, Jiji, help me become the shield. Are you sure about this, my boy? Questioned the old man. If you start this path, chances are that you won't be able to turn away from it. Are you truly committed on your ideals that you would follow them to the end, no matter where the road leads? Yes, I guess I will allow it, but there will be several things done to ensure that you are following through. What will they be, Jiji? First of all, this will be classified as a long-term mission with some of my Ambu. This will be the cover of your training. Next, the Ambu will report your progress to me occasionally, and at the end of every year, you will have a series of tests to evaluate the current level of your abilities. This will be filed on a report that will only be seen by eyes, the third stated seriously. Thank you, Gigi, Naruto said with his eyes watery. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The boy lunged forward and trapped the old man in a massive embrace, ignoring the cry from his wounds from the sudden agitation and movement. The elder Sarutobi just moved his arms to hold the boy and lightly wrapped his arms around the blonde. He felt his robes starting to become wet from the waters coming from the blonde's eyes. A small smile graced the man's lips as he looked through the window into the clear skies. I wish your parents could see you now. They would be so proud of how you are turning out to be. The will of fire burned in them and now you inherited their flame. Now, I believe you need to rest, Sarutobi said to the boy, who winced in pain. You strained yourself too much. We will talk more tomorrow when you are well. I guess, said Naruto as he winced again from the pain. See you tomorrow, Gigi. With that said, the young Uzumaki lied down on his bed while the old Hokage stood up from his chair. The blonde child closed his eyes as a small smile graced his lips and the elder Sarutobi silently deactivated the barrier that covered the room before exiting the premises. Few days later, it would take a few days for the young Uzumaki to heal completely from all the wounds he received from the last beating. He remained trapped within the white room of the hospital and faced extreme boredom from the sheer lack of events occurring. A nurse frequently checked on his condition every few hours until today. She had left him alone until he heard the room's door open. His eyes looked towards the opening and found himself staring at two shinobi. They looked the same for the most part except for certain features like the decoration of the mask and the hair. The first shinobi had on a mask that resembled a dog with gravity-defying grey hair. Most of the features the blonde saw gave him a conclusion that the first shinobi was a male. The other shinobi had a mask that looked like a cat with long purple hair that reached the middle of her back. He instantly knew that the ninja was a female. He was immediately snapped out of his thoughts when the male started to speak to him. Hello Naruto, he greeted. It's nice to see you again. Huh? The blonde asked with a confused look. You don't remember us, huh? Asked the female as she faked a sniffle. I thought you would remember ma. It took the boy several seconds before his thoughts lined up and he was able to identify the two beings that stood before him. Doggy-san, Kitty-san, he cried out as he launched himself towards the two and engulfed them in an embrace. Now you remember us, Dog said with a hearty chuckle while he returned the boy's hug. It's been a while since I last saw you guys. What are you two doing here anyway? So we can't visit our favorite blonde ball of sunshine? Asked Cat as she returned his embrace. Well, forget about it, interrupted Dog. Hokage-sama asked us to escort you to his office. Take as much time as you need. We don't need you getting hurt again. I'll be careful, replied Naruto as he slowly pushed himself into a sitting position on his bed. You better be Mr. Cat said sharply. If you hurt yourself because you weren't careful. She left the sentence hanging as the blonde boy on the bed was slowly shivering in fright. He just nodded his head quickly before he grabbed his clothes. The two shinobi exited the room and allowed the boy to dress himself. It would be several minutes later before the blonde boy exited the room wearing a bright orange jumpsuit. Ready to go Naruto? Asked Dog. Ready as I'll ever be. Okay then, let's go. It would take the two several minutes before they finally reached the cage tower. It was around noontime and the roads were busy with people. As Naruto walked through the busy streets, the two Ambu saw the hateful stares aimed at the boy. Unconsciously, both of their hands started to drift towards their weapons pouch at the sight people hating another being because of a series of unfortunate events that resulted in the boy becoming a Jinchuriki. It only took the group a few minutes before they arrived at the entrance of the cage tower. Upon their entrance into the large cylindrical-like building, the number of glares lessened to a certain degree as many who resided within the building were shinobi. The group then continued their trek to the Hokage's office. Occasionally, they would pass some civilians who would glare at the boy until they finally reached a set of doors. Right by the door was a woman with a desk in front of her. Her face was buried in the papers but she could still tell whether someone was in front of her. Good afternoon, do you have a reservation with Hokage-sama? She asked without looking up from her work. Ambu members Cat and Dog escorting Naruto Uzumaki for his 1 o'clock meeting with Hokage-sama, answered Cat. When the secretary heard this, she looked up from her work to see the three figures and just shrugged her shoulders. She pressed the button on her desk and the sound of small gears grinding echoed within the chambers before the door opened. Well, here we are. The Hokage's office. Within the Hokage's office, Hiruzen Sarutobi was a busy man. He constantly worked almost around the clock because of the constantly growing pile of paperwork. The growth of work eventually led to less time for the old man to do things he desired, like spending his time with his family and reading his favorite novels. Though, throughout the constant hours of work, he still finds some time to be able to sit back and read his orange novel. While he loved his literature dearly, his mind continued to drift towards the young Uzumaki child and the talk that had occurred between them several days ago. I told him that I would help him, thought the old man. But the question is how. I guess the basics is a good place to start, so a book about to access his chakra and also something about chakra control from how big his reserves are right now. Then, there are the 3 jutsus needed for the academy. Other than that, I don't know what else he would need. I just can't give him a taijutsu style because I don't know if his body would be suited for it. And precision with projectile weaponry can only be achieved through practice, and I don't know if he wants to learn how to use any close combat weapons. He didn't notice that the doors to his office were opened by a group of 3 beings and just let out another giggle. Dog silently sniggered behind his mask while Cat fumed internally over the book that the Hokage had in his hand. Naruto just looked at the old man in front of him. On his desk were towers of papers while the Hokage sat on the chair with a pipe in his mouth and an orange book. A few seconds went by and Cat decided to let out a small cough. Unfortunately, it resulted in the towers of paper to fall down and buried the old cage alive. He crawled his way out of the mountain of documents and glared at the 2 sheepish-looking Ambu. His glare softened when he spotted a boy with blonde hair standing in between the 2. "Hello Naruto, I'm quite in the predicament, but that won't stop us from having our talk," greeted the old Hokage while glaring at the 2 Ambu members. "How are you this fine day?" "I'm feeling much better than before," Naruto answered. "Especially since I got out of the hospital. Do you need help, Gigi?" No, I'm fine, but thank you for the offer," chuckled the 3rd before he looked at the other 2 beings that stood by the boy. "Dog, Cat, you are both dismissed. We will be talking later about certain subjects." They nodded before disappearing in a cloud of white smoke. "Let's make sure no one can hear us first," said the Hokage as he activated the privacy seal. "Now Naruto, I have thought about our conversation quite a bit and I have several ideas on what I can get you, but I don't know what else. Do you have anything specific in mind? Something you wish to learn?" "Let me think for a second, Gigi." Naruto, "Huh, who said that? What is it, my boy?" Naruto, "It's Bahamut," said the spirit. We were working the last few nights to establish this link with you so we can communicate with each other." "That's so cool." The Sarutobi just looked at the boy with confusion as he watched the blonde speak. He didn't know that he was holding a conversation with the beings within his body. "Just think what you want to say, my boy." "Oh, okay, so what is it that you need, Bahamut sensei?" "We were able to finish planning our curriculum." "What's that word mean, sensei?" "What we're going to teach you. Anyway, ask the Hokage to tell you what he was going to give you." "Okay sensei." "Naruto, you awake?" asked the 3rd as he waved his hand in front of the blonde boy, who started to blink a few times. "Are you back with us in the land of the living?" "Yeah, I'm back, Gigi," replied the boy. "Oh, Gigi, sensei wanted to know what you were going to give me." "The only things I could think of was a how to book about accessing your chakra, basic control, and academy jutsus. I couldn't really think of anything else because of certain variables." He turned to see the confused look on the boy's face. The old man started to go over what he said and mentally hit himself. "Variables are things that can't be determined right away. Like I couldn't give you a taijutsu style because I don't know which would suit you the best." "Oh, okay, I guess I understand. So what does your sensei need for me to give you?" "Those are acceptable pieces of material, but you will also need a Gigi, he said that I need some stuff on the basics of genjutsu, forging, anatomy, cooking, and chakra sensing. He also said the scroll for a what's it called again? Shadow clone jutsu. A jutsu scroll on shadow clone jutsu. The old Cage wrote down all the things that were said, but as the last item entered his ears, his head snapped up to look at the boy. Are you sure that is the name of the jutsu? Yeah, that's what Sensei said. Is there a problem with that? That jutsu is labeled AB rank Kinjutsu from the fact that it requires a large amount of chakra to create a clone. When solid clones are made, they each have an equal fraction of chakra. Its counterpart was labeled an A rank Kinjutsu for the exact reason. Some people have actually died because of the chakra needed to use these jutsus. Aha, Sensei said that it wouldn't be problem because of something that is in my chakra. He said that it isn't the Kyuubi's chakra and that you would understand what I'm talking about. Do you know? Hiruzen's face hardened quickly as the boy mentioned it. He knew what the boy's sensei was talking about because the female Uzumaki mentioned it to him when she married the fourth Hokage. I'll get the items that you need. With that, the Hokage quickly left the room. His thoughts raced through his head as he started to piece the information together. It wasn't long before he reached the cage's library. His hands quickly flew through the scrolls as he grabbed a few and placed them in a pile. I can't believe that Naruto already activated that portion of it, Sarutobi thought as he looked at the scrolls in front of him. They both said that there was a small possibility that it would activate because of the differences in their origin, but somehow, at least one of them is active within him. Knowing the boy's ability of being unpredictable, I'm willing to bet that the other one is either active or is close to it. I guess I better give him those scrolls as well just in case it is true. With that thought, he pulled out several more scrolls and placed them on the growing pile. So far, there's a How to Channel Your Chakra for Dummies, A Controlling Your Chakra, Forging for Beginners, Basic Guide to Cooking, The Human Body, A The Basics for Genjutsu, Minato's Guide to Sealing, and the 4 scrolls from both his parents. Somehow, I have a feeling that he will follow their path and become as great as them. Hell, he has the potential to become greater than they were. I hope you're both watching. The Cage grabbed the pile of scrolls and books before placing them in a bin. He carried it back to the office, where he found the boy sitting on his chair while looking out towards the Hokage monument. His eyes held a look he had seen several times when he looked at Minato. He chuckled quietly, but it was loud enough for Naruto to notice his arrival. Hey Gigi, greeted Naruto before he noticed the bin filled with items. How's the view? Asked the old man as he placed the bin on the desk. It's Greta, but the view from the top of the monument is better. I couldn't agree more. I've been there several times with my team back in the day. I know that Asuma loved the view when I brought him up there when he was still a child. You will become a Cage someday, Naruto. You have the potential and I have a feeling that your achievements will become unparalleled. I just hope that I will still be around to see that day. Same here. Anyway, here are the things that you asked. I added a few more scrolls in there, said the Hokage as he pointed towards the 2 pale blue and 2 dark crimson scrolls. These 4 scrolls are very important and all I asked is that you allow me to keep them until I deem that you are ready to learn of their secrets. Sure thing Gigi. Well, come back tomorrow and I'll give these all to you. Pack your things, Naruto, said the Cage, which earned him a confused look from the boy. Tomorrow, you will be shown your second home and I promise you that it will be safer than your current one right now. Also, your training will begin. We will discuss this tomorrow. Thank you Gigi. It is no problem, Naruto. The old Cage released the privacy seal and allowed the boy to exit the office. The next day came quicker than the boy could ever anticipate. His night consisted of him within his mindscape where he learned more about his senseis. Apparently, Ares was a maiden during the ancient era of the land. She had a pure heart and gentle soul like the soft breeze on a windy day, but when she was angered, she was as dangerous as a hurricane. This fact scared the blonde boy, but the female spirit reassured him that she would not do anything like that to him. During her time alive, she lived in Land of Wind where the forests and wildlife thrived until Shukaku came. Shukaku, also known as the Ichibi no Shukaku, was the demon lord of the first circle and was deadly in the arts of wind and sand. It was through his power that the forests of the Land of Wind became the modern day's deserts. Next was Velina. She was a princess from the ancient era and nicknamed the Princess of the Eternal Blue, for 2 reasons. The first was because her hair and eyes constantly reminded everyone of the ocean. The second reason was because she always tried to close to water, as if she was constantly drawn to it. During her life, she was respected for her fairness to all whom she ruled and cared for who live in her kingdom. One day, her kingdom was attacked and the tower in which she resided broke, causing it to fall into the endless sea with her trapped within. Exodus was a man whose came generations after the ancient era, which soon became known as the era of the forgotten because of the lack of information found about it. He served as a paladin who rode throughout the countries to help defend the innocents from the dangers. It eventually led to his alias of Angel's Guard, which eventually led to Guardian of Stone, for his ability to take anything thrown at him. He was well respected all throughout the land for his judgment of the despicable until he met Bahamut on the road. The two eventually became friends after several more encounters in which led to the decision of both of them traveling together. They fought together for years until they were assaulted with an army 2,000 strong. It would be several days of combat before a decisive victory could be seen. The army was slaughtered, but the wounds that had been inflicted on both warriors eventually led to their deaths. Bahamut was also a man from the era of the Forgotten. He served as a knight in an order called 13 Dragons, where he served as the fifth. He was renowned for his courageousness in combat, pure determination in fights, and bloodlust. This eventually formed his alias of Bloody Maw, because of the blood that covered him in his fights. All his enemies would see was the red glint of his dragon-shaped armor before dying. It would years later that he met Exodus in a tavern. The two found many things in common between them and they became acquaintances. Several run-ins later, the two became inseparable. The last thing that he did was slaughter an army with Exodus beside him before he succumbed to his wounds, not knowing that his friends would follow soon after. Finally, there was Odin. He was different from the rest because he came several centuries after the era of the Forgotten, in a time period called the Era of Retribution. He was a samurai with unmatched skills using his katana or his double-sided sword in an S shape. It was frequently used one-handed in coordination with a shield, but it can be split in half to form two blades. During his life, he followed his code until he met a demon. The beast emerged out of nowhere and attacked a city. He attacked the demon and wounded it, making it stop its assault. This transformed him into a demon hunter. He slain many demons, armies would fall in a matter of hours. It was once said that he killed many using a unique move called Zantetsuken. He was eventually casted into Makai after he killed a greater demon. He wandered the plains until he was cursed by a devil, eventually turning him into a demon. When asked by the blonde boy if it was possible for him to learn such a technique, Odin answered that it would only be taught to those he found worthy. The boy started on his morning rituals after he finished mentally organizing his thoughts from the night before. His routine started with a workout that consisted of push-ups, sit-ups, and mountain climbers. After his workout, he ate his breakfast that consisted of some toast and milk that remained untouched for a few days. The dishes were washed soon after before he cleaned himself and put on a clean set of clothes on. As he headed towards the door, he grabbed his bag that contained some of his valuables that his constant attackers weren't able to find. It wasn't long before he arrived at the cage tower. He sped up the stairs and greeted the secretary, Mika Anami, before he entered the Hokage's office. As soon as he entered the room, he spotted the old man furiously working through the large pile of paperwork with no sign of stopping soon. The old Hokage worked through the paper so fast, it seemed that smoke started to emerge from the top of the writing utensil. Inside the boy's mind, the five spirits just sweat drop as they watched the scene in front of the boy. Is he even reading those papers? Asked Exodus. It would be safe to assume he might have read a few of them but skipped the rest, answered the Spirit of Lightning. Do you think we should help him? Asked Bahamut. I mean he did want Naruto here for a reason. I guess we should, answered Velina before she connected with the blonde boy. Hey Naruto. Yes sensei, responded the Uzumaki. I think you should help the Hokage out with his problem. How? I mean I don't even know how to deal with that much paper. I'm even pretty sure that they are copying themselves every second. First, get his attention and tell him you know how to deal with his problem. Oh okay. Oha hey Gigi, Naruto greeted with a wave. Hello there Naruto, I would love to chat but as you can see, responded the Hokage before he gestured to the pile of papers around him. I have a lot of work to finish. Buta, give me a few minutes Naruto. But Jiraiya, can we talk later? Gigi, I know how to deal with your paper problem. The Hokage just blinked a few times as he stared at the panting boy in front of him. A disbelieving look was plastered on the man's face. What? You know how to defeat the Bane of the Cages. Bane of the Cages? Yes, these blasted pieces of paper. Ranted the third Hokage. I swear that they are duplicating by the dozens just to make sure that I don't finish. I know for a fact that the other cages have to deal with this problem as well. These are demons. Wow, I didn't know that it was this bada. Naruto, I know for a fact that even the gods and goddesses have to deal with paperwork except at a greater scale when compared to the cages, said Ares. That must suck. Well, how do I defeat my mortal enemy? This better not be a prank or else I want to rid myself of this demona. Well, why don't you use the Shadow Clone Jutsu, answered Naruto. Shadow Clone Jutsu, mumbled the old man. Of course, thank you my boy, you just saved me from a terrible fate. Uma, what are you talking about Gigi? I guess that you haven't read the scroll about this jutsu. Well, the Shadow Clone Jutsu is a special clone jutsu. It was labeled a kinjutsu for two reasons. The first is the chakra needed to be able to make a clone and the second is the mental feedback. Whatever this clone learns is automatically sent back to you, the original. It's very useful during missions. I suggest that you read it when you can as it will be vital for your training, said the old Hokage, receiving a nod from the blonde boy. Now, since you helped me defeat this monstrosity, I will gladly like to repay you. Is there anything you need, my boy? I don't know Gigi. I mean I need stuff to help me train but other than that, I can't think of anything. Well, if anything comes to mind, don't be afraid to ask as long as it is within reason. Okay, thanks Gigi. Is that all? I believe so, answered the elder Sarutobi with a small smile. Going off to start your training, Naruto? Yup, I don't want to let you down. As part of our agreement, you will have an Ambu with you to ensure your progress. He will be the one to bring me the reports of your progress. As for the examinations, let's say that they will be every year. Your file will be kept hidden to all eyes except mine until the time has come to reveal yourself. The Ambu I assigned you will meet you at the market district so you can buy your supplies. Speaking of, which of the training grounds will you be using for your training? Snake-chan's playground. I like going there a lot since it always kept me safe. What? The word echoed all around the room. Sarutobi remained still in shock as he looked at the blonde boy who just informed him of his consent entrance in Training Ground 44, aka the Forest of Death, and one of the most dangerous locations in the Land of Fire up to date. The Ambu stationed all around the room couldn't help but stare at the young Uzumaki when he voiced his claim. It was considered to be impossible to go into the area by oneself and come out alive. The only person to do that was Anko Mitarashi, also known as Snake. Not even the famous Itachi Uchiha, aka Weasel, went into the forest without someone with him. Are you sure Naruto? Asked a very timid Hokage. That area is very dangerous for many reasons. There is a reason why very few people go in there alone. Hey Gigi, Snake-chan is almost always there with me. She played me a few times and since I have your awesome ninja with me, I won't get hurt. Alright then, said the third with a sigh. Just promise that you will be safe. I don't anything happening to you because I allowed you to train there. I promise you Gigi, I'll be careful with what I do. Very well, go along now. That Ambu member will meet you soon, he said before he faced the pile of papers as the boy left the office. Now to defeat you, you wild woman. The multiple copies of the third Hokage leapt at the large stacks of paper with malicious intent in his eyes as he daydreamed about standing on top a mountain of signed papers while large flames roared in the background. His dream self dove into a nearby mountain of books of orange Icha books before starting to read. Streets of Konoha. In the middle of the busy streets of Konoha, Ambu Operative Bear walked down the merchant district but something was different about him. He felt exposed to the world for several reasons. The first reason was because he was wearing a standard Jonin uniform that consisted of a Mars green flak jacket with a black long sleeve shirt underneath, black shinobi pants with white tape wrapped around his right thigh, and a pair of shinobi sandals. He looked like a normal shinobi with short black hair and egg-shaped face. He was deep in thought as he reminisced about all the things he has done. Throughout his time as a shinobi, he had completed a large variety of missions ranging from simple C rank to difficult S rank, and yet, none of them could compare to his current one. His last mission was a simple C rank mission to take out a bandit camp at the borders. When they arrived at their destination, they found the camp, but instead of bandits, they found rather strange creatures. They disappeared into the shadows a minute later, leaving the group of Ambu alone. So when the Hokage called him for his next mission, he was certain that he wouldn't be surprised. Flashback. Bear entered the Hokage's office to find several copies of them all around the room working on the stacks of paper. The towers of paper were slowly being cut down in size quickly as the copies read and signed the papers. The Ambu agent coughed softly, grabbing the attention of the busy cages, and forced him to pause his work. Rather, the original paused while the clone started to work again. Ah, Bear, I know this might be rather short notice, but I require for you to do this mission, the Hokage said as he picked up a nearby scroll. It's a high A rank, maybe even S rank long-term mission should you accept. I have several reasons why I have chosen you for this mission. Of course, Hokage-sama, answered the Ambu before he grabbed the scroll and opened it to read its contents. Hokage-sama, are you? I am very sure of my decision, Bear. I believe that by doing this, it will help him survive in the future. It may deprive him a childhood that he deserves, but no child deserves to live the life he was forced to live. Of course, Hokage-sama, do you know how long this mission may be? It will depend on his progress. But do you understand your mission? Of course, Hokage-sama. My mission is to act as a messenger between you and Naruto-san, but to also act as a teacher for him. I am not allowed to wear my Ambu equipment or anything that will connect me to my Ambu identity of Bear. I will also receive A rank pay every week to pay for my own necessities until I can go on my own missions again. Good. There is also a good chance that Naruto may know that you are Bear even though you don't wear your mask, so don't be surprised if he finds out. Do you understand what you have to do? Yes, Hokage-sama. Good. You are to meet him at the market district. Here is some money. Get him some equipment and better clothes, preferably proper shinobi attire. The cage handed the Ambu a wad of bills before he exited the room to fulfill the answer. End flashback. Cat was so furious when I told her that she had to deal with all of my work while I was off in addition to hers. Thought the Ambu member as a picture of his cat masked teammate flashed through his mind. I was lucky that Dog Senpai was there, or else. His thoughts drifted off as his eyes caught sight of a mop of blonde hair right beside a store he knew very well. It wasn't just him though. All Ambu, most Jonin, and some Chunin knew that the store was the place to go for all types of shinobi items that ranged from the basic kunai and shurikens to Ambu combat armor. He walked closer to the boy to find him deep in thought as he looked at the certain item on display. Upon further inspection, Bear saw that it wasn't an item but rather several items. The first is a red belt, sash that went around the waist with 5 holsters for weapons on the left and right side. The second item was a shoulder plate with 5 holsters attached to the back of it. Finally, the last item consisted of similarly shaped knives that were a little longer than a kunai but not as long as a foot-long dagger. It was also slightly thinner from an average kunai that gave the impression of a more silent flight as it spins towards its target. The Ambu turned his gaze from the weapon to find that Naruto's gaze still lingered on the items. He let out a small cough, loud enough for the blonde boy to turn towards him. Bear examined the boy to find his eyes bore into him with a calculating look while his body stance showed tension, as he was ready to move at a moment's notice. Hello there, Naruto, greeted the unmasked Ambu, leading to a discreet yet shocked look on the blonde's face. Don't be frightened, young one. Hokage-sama sent me as per the agreement. Ah, okay, Naruto replied as a relieved expression graced his face before it transformed to one of happiness. Oh, how can you tell me what your name is? The name is Yamato. Okay, thanks Yamato-san. Let's go then. I was just looking at what they had. Wait, first I want you to tell me what you think about those knives you were looking at. Well, they were interesting in how they looked. Much different from the average kunais. It might fly better than a kunai. Why do you ask? Hokage-sama gave me some money so you could get some tools and supplies to help you. Really? Thank you. Yamato just chuckled as he followed the blonde boy into the shop. Hello, welcome to the Dragon's Den, greeted a store clerk. How may I help you today? We're here to get some supplies for a future shinobi, Yamato replied, which earned him a nod from the clerk before he looked at Naruto. I think it would be best for you to go get the things you think you might need or want. Remember, you need to get some training clothes and also clothes for travel. Then, don't forget that basic shinobi tools like kunais, shurikens, and other things that you might need. With that said, Naruto slowly walked deeper into the store. His first stop was the clothing section, and after he looked around, he selected his clothing. It consisted of several fishnet shirts, some dark-colored shirts, a few shorts, numerous dark green combat pants with multiple pockets, and an abundant amount of long-sleeve shirts that varied in color. Along with these articles of clothing were several sets of steel-toed combat boots, a large quantity of socks, and a small amount of gloves, both normal and fingerless. During his clothing spree, he found himself staring at the items at the display before he sighed and walked away. Unknown to him, an old man had spotted him there before he walked away. On the other side of the store, Yamato was going around and picked up Naruto's shinobi tools. This included several sets of kunais, shurikens, senbons and weights for wrist, ankles, and torso. 7 sets of moss green flak jackets also found their way to the pile, along with several instruction books and weapons pouches that ranged from the circular ones for the waist to the rectangle ones for the thighs. He had seen Naruto looking at the display while he was grabbing the weights before he left. Unknown to Yamato, Naruto had migrated back to the display while an old man had started to move towards him. Hello there, child, he said, scaring the blonde boy out of his wits. Oh hello, he responded with some fear. You don't have to be afraid of me, my boy. However, I noticed that you were rather interested in those throwing knives over there. Of course sir, they seem very different from the other weapons here. I just wonder why no one else is interested in them. They're special weapons, young one. They are specifically used for throwing, but it can also be used for close combat if needed. It's just that other shinobi seem to favor a more multi-purpose weapon like a kunai better. Plus, they also believe that the shurikens are more effective and balanced better when compared to these items. I don't think I agree with them on Tata. And why do you say that? Asked the old man with curiosity. I don't know. It just looks like that those knives are better balanced than that kunai over there, answered the blonde as he pointed at the kunai a few feet away. Haha, you have a good eye kid. The name's Kenshin, proud blacksmith and maker of that fine set of weapons on display. Oh, I'm very honored to meet you sir, Naruto said before he bowed. Now that you know my name, can I learn yours? Asked Kenshin with a voice that reminded Naruto of the third Hokage. Naruto or Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto a strong name or maelstrom if I'm correct, said the man out loud. Anyway, since you are the first to be interested on those items of mine, I'll make a deal with you, kid. Do you want to become its first owner? I would love to, answered the blonde boy with excitement. Haha, you remind me so much of someone I used to know a long time ago, laughed Kenshin. Anyway, tell your friend of yours to gather all of your purchases and follow me. Naruto ran through the store before he met Yamato. The boy relayed the message and sped off before Yamato could utter a word. Yamato just sighed before he created a clone to assist him in carrying the many items. He meets the blonde boy at a doorway with an old man right beside him. The old man opened the door and ushered the group of 3 through it. Now, let's talk about our deal, started Kenshin before being interrupted by Yamato. What deal? He asked with narrowed eyes. It's nothing serious lad, said Kenshin as he twirled one of his hands. It's just for the items on display. I believe your young charge here might have the ability to use them to their full potential. You see, I believe that the younger generation of shinobi care more about how impressive a jutsu is instead of their purpose, no offense to you. None taken, replied Yamato with a shrug. I would agree with that statement to a certain extent. Naruto, the act of killing can be achieved with the use of a weapon, whether it be a blade, your fists, or a jutsu. What I want for my part of the deal is for you to use the weapons you have effectively. Don't be flashy and act to impress people. You are going to be a shinobi, a trained killer, and killers strike when the time is right, quickly and effectively. Any items you purchase from here will be discounted if you promise to use my weapons to their maximum potential. Sure, I would be honored. With that said, the old man went further into the room before he returned with multiple cases of varying sizes. He placed them on a nearby table before he opened them one by one. Okay, here we go, Kenshin said with happiness. A full set of armor along with several cases of throwing knives. Why don't you try it on? With a shrug, Naruto stepped forward to the first case to spot a rather large metal shoulder plate with several straps on them. He took it from its resting place and held it in place on his right shoulder as Kenshin worked with the straps that went from his shoulder plate to the left side of his waist before going back up on the back side. It would take a minute or two before it was fully strapped down and tightened down. Naruto moved the next case and grabbed a belt 5 to 6 centimeters in width. He wrapped it around his waist before tightening it. After he found it satisfactory, he backed up a meter or so and examined himself on a nearby mirror. There we go, said Kenshin before he stepped back to examine his work. Look at you now, kid. Now we have a real shinobi on our hands now. How are they? Pretty good actually, answered Naruto as he continued to look at his reflection. Great. On the back of the shoulder plate and along the sides of the belts are holsters for the knives. Practice using them. They are different when compared to a kunai. And also, I sometimes create new things here and there. If you happen to stop by every year or so, I might have something for you if you prove to me that you mastered the items I gave you first. Now why don't we take those off of you and pay for all of these items so you can be on your way? Yamato, Naruto, and the Yamato clone agreed before they unstrapped the blonde's equipment off of him before they placed them back into their respected cases. Well, the grand total is 264,374 Ryo for everything including the discount, said the old man before Yamato pulled out a piece of paper and handed it to him. Ah, a voucher from the Hokage, eh? Well, let me get all these things sealed for you so you can be on your merry way. It would be a few minutes before all items purchased would be sealed away and Naruto took this as an opportunity to change. He was able to grab a set of clothes and went into a dressing room. He excited with his horrendous orange jumpsuit in hand. A solid black long sleeve paired with black shinobi pants and a pair of steel-toed boots now covered his body. The orange jumpsuit, on the other hand, was tossed into the nearest dumpster after the duo exited the building with a storage scroll containing their purchases in hand. The two walked down the streets, learning more about each other as the minutes go by. An interesting fact that Yamato learned was that Naruto often came to the Forest of Death to play with Snake, who he knew was Anko. He arrived to the conclusion that the frequent visits to the forest must mean that the boy knew it like the back of his hand. The shinobi's thoughts were proven true as the blonde boy led them through the barbed gates of the training grounds before entering the thicket of wildlife. The sounds of wildlife echoed all around the duo as they continued to walk through the forest until they reached a rather large clearing after an hour passed. Sunlight broke through the dense layers of leaves of the trees. Yamato just looked at the empty space before he spotted the smile on the boy's face before he had started to walk forward. Naruto suddenly vanished from his view, completely surprising Yamato. Unsure what was about to happen, he tightens his hold on the scroll while his other hand drifted into his pouch before pulling out a kunai. He walked forward several yards before feeling something strange. He shrugged it off as he looked at his surroundings. In front of him was a large wooden house. What is this place? He asked with a surprised look as he examined the surrounding area. How can nobody see this place? This is Snake-chan's house, Naruto said with a smile on his face. I helped her build it whenever I had time. It wasn't just me though. She had some other people help her too. Then she told me she got someone to write on the wall so no one can see it unless they pass that invisible wall. This is pretty interesting place. Still, I better let Snake-san that we will be using her house for an indefinite period of time, Yamato informed him. Also, I have to attend a meeting with my colleagues and report back to Hokage-sama. Aha, said Naruto with a confused look on his face. Sorry, Why don't you try and learn the Shadow Clone Jutsu so you can begin your training, suggested the shinobi before he vanished via Shunshin. Training montage with Eye of the Tiger by Survivor playing in the background. Naruto reads the book, How to Access Your Chakra for Dummies before attempting to do so after completing the book. 1 hour done. He makes the cross hand sign for the jutsu before looking at the scroll that lays on a stump in the middle of the clearing. Chakra surges into the hand sign before a cloud appears, only to show a pale, sick-looking clone with color faded in most areas and some body parts missing. 3 hours done. Panting from exhaustion, Naruto looks at his most recent attempt to find that it is still missing some parts but the color is mostly there. Making the hand sign again, he uses the shadow clone once more. 5 hours done. The blonde leans against one of the large trees while panting loudly. He tries to perform the jutsu again, only to find himself blacking out and traveling back to the realm of unconsciousness for the third time within the training session. 7 hours done. Training montage over. After training, ugh, thought Naruto as he struggled to push himself up. That was intense. I don't think I'll be able to get to bed now. With that thought, the blonde collapsed against a tree he had been laying against before he entered the land of dreams. It would be an hour before Yamato appeared from a swirl of leaves. Cat really chewed me out, sighed Yamato. Maybe I shouldn't have given her all that work. Earlier in the day, Cat had spent over an hour chewing him out because of the large amount of work she gained because he was on a special mission for the Hokage. She complained that she had to do 2, maybe even 3 times more paperwork because of him. Fortunately, the Hokage summoned him, providing him with an escape from the fuming Ambu operative. During his meeting with the Hokage, he practically told the old man all the events that occurred between the beginning of the mission until he left Naruto at the household. He only received a nod from the Hokage before being dismissed. Finally, before he went back to the forest, he was able to find Anko and told her about the usage of her house. He told her all the details of the mission. Now where is Naruto? He thought to himself before he spotted the blonde boy against a tree with eyes closed. I should have guessed. He wore himself out from all that training. The Ambu operative moved towards the boy before picking him up and bringing him inside the house. He laid the blonde on a bed before placing the covers over him. 6 a.m. the next morning. Naruto found himself feeling something soft covering his body in contrast to the hard surface of the tree he fell asleep against. His eyes opened quickly as his body shot up from his current position. He expected to wake up in the forest, but much to his surprise, he found himself within a house. His body got off the soft item below him and headed towards the nearby table. On the wooden furniture was a large package with a piece of parchment attached to it. His hands grabbed the letter and brought it closer to his eyes. Dear Naruto, if you're reading this, then that means that you woke up and I'm not there. I just got called back to the HQ because of a large emergency. If you're wondering how you got into the house, I brought you in yesterday when I found you against a tree. You need to be careful when you train next time. You were suffering from severe chakra exhaustion, meaning you wasted a large amount of chakra and leaving your body barely any. This is a problem because it will eventually lead to your death if you're not careful, so please be careful next time. I know that you have a large amount of stamina but you haven't worked your chakra system as much, so take it slow. Because of that, I recommend that you don't exhaust yourself and read some of the scrolls you got. You can use some of your chakra to make a few clones and they will help you train. Read the scroll if you don't understand what I mean. By the way, when we were at the store, I had a feeling you would need these for later. Inside the package is a pair of wooden bokanes. Don't do anything stupid and I should be back tonight. Yamato. Naruto placed the letter down and opened the package to reveal the 2 wooden swords. The blonde grabbed a hold of one before he gave it an experimental swing. His eyes caught sight of the small pile of scrolls at the center of the table. With a sigh, he placed the bouquet down before heading into the kitchen. His eyes found a plate filled with bacon, eggs, and his potatoes along with a large cup of milk. The food disappeared 10 minutes later as a filled blonde boy patted his stomach. With a full stomach, he grabbed the topmost scroll on the pile and opened it. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Rank: B. Type: Kinjutsu. Description: The jutsu allows the user to create solid copies of the user. The clones use the amount of chakra used and divides it with each clone made, allowing each to perform a couple of C-rank jutsus or a handful of B-rank jutsus before having to rely on non-chakra based attacks. These clones will dispel after one hit. Warning: the user must have at least mid-chunin reserves before trying to attempt this jutsu, or it will result in a severe case of chakra exhaustion that has the possibility of death. Caution: this clone jutsu allows for the original to learn the information gathered by the clones once they are dispelled. It is highly recommended to dispel the clones in groups at an interval of several minutes. By dispelling all the clones at once, it will possibly result in brain damage that can range from severe headaches and trauma to melting the brain and death. So that's what Yamato-san meant when he said that my clones would be helpful, thought Naruto as he placed the scroll down. Better not strain my chakra system that much, but I should be able to make a few clones. His fingers made a cross before several clouds of smoke appeared and quickly dissipated to reveal a group of 10 Naruto clones. Before the original could say a word, the clones each grabbed a scroll from the stack and headed to a different location of the house. The original, on the other hand, could only watch as the group dispersed without a single verbal command from him. I believe that you wanted them to read the scrolls thoroughly, correct? Asked Exodus, earning him a mental nod from the blonde boy. Well, since you were thinking of their command, it transferred to them and thus resulted in the clones knowing what to do. That's so cool, thought the blonde boy with excitement. Indeed, they will become even more useful later on when you have a larger chakra system. More clones means more to use for learning new skills that could eventually be helpful on the field. Also, once we have deemed that you have a basic grasp on chakra, we will begin teaching you what we know, starting from the basic. Of course, Exodus Sensei. Time skip, several days later. Naruto spent the last few days reading the scrolls on basic knowledge on human anatomy, cooking, and other things. Every day, he would summon his group of clones, unknown that they were growing in number every time, and they would take their respected scrolls to read and reread the information they learned. Yamato would come back to the house every night to find the clones of the blonde working on different things that range from memorizing taijutsu stances to learning basic chakra control. A minor thing that the original noticed about the clones was that each clone held an imperfection, but it wasn't enough to keep the clones from learning from the scrolls they had. It took him a week to make clones with no defections, and because of his clones constantly working on chakra control, the amount of clones tended to increase 1 or 2 every day. The increase in quantity would constantly confuse the blonde until the 3rd day. During his time reviewing over the readings, he discovered that improvement in chakra control would result in less consumption of chakra for jutsus. Upon this discovery, Naruto placed more clones on learning and mastering chakra control to further help the progress. Unfortunately, his chakra control only improved a small amount every day, even though he had around half of the clones he summoned working on it because of his rather large and still growing chakra circulatory system. Some clones would work on hunting and trapping some of the wild animals found in the forest, while other clones would clean, season, and cook the food. The original spent his time working on making his body physically stronger. It started off with stretches before taking a few laps around the clearing and completing several sets of sit-ups, push-ups, mountain climber, and pull-ups. This workout wore the blonde down greatly, but it slowly became easier after several days of following this routine. Yamato, on the other hand, would frequently leave before daybreak and return before sunset to find the clones finishing up on their training. The clones would dispel in small groups at intervals of 15 minutes, and once they were all gone, Yamato entered the house. The adult and child spent their time together eating and talking about random subjects and getting better acquainted with each other. This became a routine for the blonde boy.